So it's currently the morning here in London, in my garden at the moment, about to click publish on this training video. And before I clicked publish, I just thought I would record a quick little introduction for it because it deserves an introduction. So what I'm going to be highlighting in this training is something that is going to go over a lot of people's heads because they don't really understand business. But the few who do will see the real opportunity within this training that I'm showing you. What this training is going to allow you to do is going to allow you to have a better offer within the OF industry to OF models. Now, if you know anything about making money, your offer is really what makes a business easy versus a business feel like you're walking uphill on nails. An easy offer is how stupid people get rich, if we're going to be honest. Like, having a really good offer just makes everything about your business so much easier. It makes it easier to get clients. It makes it easier to deliver on the clients. It makes it easier to provide value in your particular market segment. So the offer really is what predicts a lot of people's success, and the majority of people fail because they've got a bad offer. Now, the OFM offer at the moment, so the OnlyFans management offer, is a bad offer. It's an outdated offer. It needs improving, and the ones who do improve upon the OFM offer are the ones who are going to see success within this industry over the next few years. And we've personally implemented this change, and it has cascaded into some amazing effects for my agency. And we're definitely not going back to the full service management at all, because this offer it just truly trumps it in every single metric. So exactly what I'm going to be showcasing in this video is why OFM is dead, what the issues with it, so you fully understand the current issues that are facing the market, so you stop doing a traditional OFM offer. And then I'm going to be walking you through what's the alternative. So the better offer that we are pitching to the market that allows us to scale easier, that allows us to make more money, allows us to sign better quality models, and to sign these models a lot easier as well. So yeah, hopefully this little short introduction gets you sold on exactly what this training is, so you're going to dedicate an hour to changing your life. So I'll see you guys in the training. So welcome to the training, and in this training we are going to be going over how to sign top 1% OnlyFans models in days by offering the one thing that they actually want. So specifically, we're going to be covering 3 things in this training. The first is the real reason why you've struggled to build an OFM agency. Second is the deal my agency runs instead, and one that most people have actually never heard of. And then third, how my model pipeline means our people never cold DM for their first deal. And I'm going to be explaining that in full, so make sure you stick around until the end of the video. So a quick frame before we start and get into this training is I'm not going to hype you up with this. I'm not going to show you Lamborghinis. I'm not going to show you and pretend that this is some passive income vehicle, because it isn't. Okay, this is a real business that you're building here, and I'm going to talk to you like an adult and explain how this business works. And if you want to go ahead and implement it, feel free to implement it. If not, then that's fine with us, and it's all on you. Okay, so let's start with the question: why has nothing worked? So why is it that you can watch every video, buy every course, copy every outreach script word for word, and still not build real income in this industry? Think about it. It's not effort. You've probably sent more DMs than anyone you know, and it's not intelligence. You understand the business model fine. So what is it? Well, after 6 years in the game, there are 2 types of people that are watching this right now. So you're either going to be type 1 or type 2. So type 1 is a person who's never signed anyone. So you've sent hundreds of DMs, maybe even thousands, and you've got a few replies, a call here and there that went nowhere ultimately, and that creeping feeling that everyone claiming they sign models easily is actually full of it, and they also struggle with this. And then type 2, you've signed the wrong ones. So you actually did it. You signed models, you did the thing that everyone said was the hard part, you finally got a client, and then what happened? The content never showed up. You're chasing a grown woman for a few clips a week that you can actually use to do some promotion or some back-end management. The account won't grow because she won't post. You worked for months and never got paid properly. And then right when things started moving, she left and took the account that you built and walked. So these are the two type of people who I talked to over the years who are in the OnlyFans management game, and they're really struggling. Okay, two different distinct problems, but equally come down to the same solution. Okay, because what if both of those outcomes, the guy who couldn't sign anyone and the guy who signed the wrong one, was caused by the exact same thing? So these aren't two separate problems. You think they're two separate problems. The fact that this guy struggled to sign models and this guy had a different problem that he couldn't actually go ahead and deliver the service. But it all comes down to one problem: wearing two masks. So why the management model is fundamentally broken. So the full management model is broken. Okay, it's not harder than it used to be. It's not more difficult. It's broken. And it's broken in three specific ways that stack on top of each other. So let me walk you through them one at a time. So truth number one is that you're selling into a buyer's market. The market has flipped and nobody updated the playbook. 6 years ago, this business model genuinely worked for beginners, and it was a really easy, profitable business for a beginner. There were barely any agencies. The models who'd never been pitched in their lives, and oftentimes it was the first time they were receiving a DM offering management, and you could sign a girl on a 12-month contract and actually build a business on top of that security. Whereas now, every model with any potential gets 50 pitches a month. Trust me, I've been in their DMs. I can see the agencies that are sending DMs, and it is insane the amount of people who are offering the exact same thing. And ask yourself, when a customer has 50 near identical offers in her inbox, who has the power? Obviously, she does. She's not being sold. She's window shopping for the best deal terms for herself. And what happens to sellers in a buyer marketplace? In this case, you. It's a race to the bottom. Bigger promises, smaller cuts. And here's the one that actually kills you: flexible contracts. You can't lock 12 months anymore. And this is something not a lot of people want to talk about. 12 months used to be the standard play. But at the moment, in this current industry, why would you sign when 10 other agencies offer no lock-in at all? And the reason that those agencies are offering that is because if you go ahead and offer 12 months, you're not going to be able to sign a model, because she's just going to window shop and she's going to find an agency who offers her better terms. So even when you win, as in signing a model, what have you won? Because you build the whole operation and she can walk next month. All of the work, none of the security. So hopefully that makes sense, that, being a seller in a buyer's market is going to make everything 10 times more difficult. And truth number two is 50% of what exactly? No core seller will ever show you this, because let's do the math that nobody does. The standard deal is 50% of the model's revenue. Sounds great on the surface, right? 50%, I could make 50% of an OnlyFans model account. If she's making $10,000, then I can make $5,000 a month. Sounds good. But here's the thing to ask: 50% of what? Because here's the reality of this industry. The overwhelming majority of models make very little, and it's brutally top-heavy distribution. So there is a thin layer of models at the top who earn real money, and most accounts earn close to nothing. So to give you an idea, if you have someone who's at the top 1% on OnlyFans, they're making around about $15,000. So that means the majority of people on OnlyFans are making very little money. And I think the average earning for an OnlyFans creator is $131. So it's more important than ever on who you're working with. And so what does that 50% mean to you? So walk through the actual trade that you're making here. You take on her content planning, her marketing, her chatting, her admin, the entire operation. All the stress is carried by you. And in exchange, you get a half of a small, uncertain number. So ask yourself honestly, do you want half of nothing in exchange for doing everything? Okay, what about the top earners? 50% is a big number. Is worth it. Absolutely right. And just bear in mind, hold that thought for 60 seconds, because what I'm about to show you is going to get really uncomfortable. Truth number three is the who says yes. So this is the big one, and it's by far the most overlooked issue with management. And this explains your last 6 months or however long you've been trying to build an OnlyFans management agency. Put yourself in the shoes of a model in 2026, going on 2027, 50 pictures a month. She knows at least one girl who signed a management deal and got destroyed, i.e. locked out of her own account, paid nothing, account got banned, chatters saying God knows what to her fans in her name, ruining her reputation. She hears from other models of these horror stories. And you're not fighting her skepticism when you DM her, you're fighting the last 10 guys who did. So the good models, they say no. And you knew that already because nobody has ever asked you the next question. And the next question is everything. Who says yes? Really think about this. Who is the model that is willing to hand over the keys to her entire business? If you was an OnlyFans model and you was making, $20,000, $30,000 a month with this business, that is a legitimate operation. Are you going to go ahead and just hand over the keys to someone else? Absolutely not. And again, the vast majority of models don't make anything. So we want to be working with the models who treat this like a business, have proof that they can go ahead and scale up. But we also don't want to be working, investing a bunch of time, energy, effort, and risk in growing a creator who's starting off from scratch. So again, who is that model willing to hand the keys to her entire business, her account, her content, her income, her livelihood, half of everything to a guy she met online last week? Is that professional model the one treating it like a business? Never. She already runs her operation. She has her systems. She controls her chatting. She looks at your 50% for everything deal and sees either a scam or an insult. And remember, truth number 2. She's the only model whose the 50% was worth ever having. The one model who makes the deal work is the one model who will never sign it. You cannot get rich with OnlyFans with working with models who are at the bottom percentages and trying to go ahead and scale them up, especially when you have a zero ownership over the business as well, where the model could literally leave after you've invested months in growing the account. And then again, you could say, I've got a case study, I've got a testimonial, which I can use to sign other models once I scale up one account, even if the model leaves. But as we just discovered here, the models who say yes aren't the models you want to work with. They're the models who are incentivized by a lazy offer, and they're not the ones who are actually treating their OnlyFans business as a business. So who signs? It's the beginners, the desperate ones, the ones who don't take it seriously. Because think about it, you can only hand over the keys to a business that you're not really running. So the deal is a sorting machine. Hopefully you can see this now, that the management offer isn't just getting rejected by the good models, it is actively filtering for bad ones. The deal itself is a sorting machine, and it sorts for the flakers, the ghosters, and the leavers directly into your roster. And that is why, you're struggling. If you're struggling to sign models, it's because you're going for high quality models and you're just struggling to go ahead and get them, because as we've discovered here, they're not going to want to work with someone who's asking for 50% of their account. And then type 2 is you've signed the wrong ones, and that's because you went after models who weren't the sort of models that you really wanted to sign, but you signed them anyway. And that's no fault of your own. It's because your offer was attracting those sort of models. So you can see how they're linked to one problem in 2 masks. And that is that the vehicle is broken on every axis. And I need you to really internalize this. No outreach script fixes a structurally broken offer. I've seen people get rich and it's all dependent on their offer. Your offer does 80% of the work when it comes to business. I've seen not so smart people get really rich because they have a good offer. And I've seen really smart people struggle to get rich because they have a bad offer. So it all stems from your offer, and the better your offer, the easier it is to go ahead and make money. And that's because the offer, fundamentally, the vehicle that you're offering is a broken offer. So you were never one template away. The game itself was rigged. And the only management agencies which are actually left making actual money are the ones too big to fail, but even they are feeling the squeeze. Or it's the ones who have, built up personal relationships with these models, and it's typically, the boyfriend managing their girlfriend's page. Those are the people who are making money within this space, and even they are feeling the squeeze of everything around them in trying to scale up and make more money. And it's also worth mentioning that there is now a new version of this trap, and I get why it's tempting. It's AI models. So your own girl, no drama, you keep 100% of the earnings. But here's the problem. 100% of what? The percentage only matters if the page has traffic, and AI makes the traffic problem worse, not better. So a real model is a content machine. She has her face, she has her clips, she has a personality, and that is the fuel for the front end growth to go ahead and get traffic. And an AI page has to go ahead and fake all of that on platforms that are actively hunting synthetic accounts, and with policies that are getting increasingly more restrictive for AI technology in terms of like deep fakes and stuff like this, to sell to fans who are getting better at spotting AI. And on a main platform that requires a verified real human to even operate. So they can't run OnlyFans, they're being forced to go to these other platforms to build these AI models, and it's just, there's no proof of concept on these other platforms, and these fans are catching on that certain platforms are associated with AI models. And OnlyFans is going to be one of the only few platforms, OnlyFans, Fansly, MYM, the only few platforms where people are actually able to go ahead and say, yeah, this is a verifiable real creator and not an AI model. So think about it. What you actually signed up for. You didn't remove the model. You fired her and you took her job. You're now the creator, the chatter, the manager, and the marketer alone. And you're not going to be able to just go ahead and front a bunch of expenses on a business that has no proof of concept, and a business that could go ahead and get banned and deleted next week. So that's the agency trap with extra steps. You're taking on the creator's job and you're having to go ahead and do a worse job of what a creator should be doing, and having to go ahead and fake that. And worst of all, anyone can spin up an AI girl in an afternoon, which means the supply of AI girls is infinite, which means that their value is falling to zero while you build. Supply and demand is a consistent curve across everything. And if the supply of something is infinite, then it means it's going to have no value. Like diamonds. Diamonds have a certain value because it's infinite. Or watches, they have a certain value because it's a finite thing. Whereas if there was an infinite number of these watches, this watch would be worthless. Okay, so it's a simple supply and demand. Something which can be there is an infinite supply of has zero demand. So as you're building an AI girl, you're literally going ahead and losing demand, just like that. And the value of what you can charge for the AI girl is going down and down and down and down. So the only thing AI can't generate is attention. Traffic was the bottleneck before AI, and AI just made it the entire game. So the guys winning with AI pages, every one of them is a traffic guy first, and that's not a coincidence, that's a skill. And it pays you whether a model is real, AI, or whatever comes next. So the number one skill is being able to go ahead and generate traffic within this space. So what does the right vehicle look like? Because we just walked through how the current vehicles being taught within this space are just fundamentally broken. So if that vehicle's dead, what would the right vehicle look like? We're going to build a criteria from scratch, like adults, before I show you anything. So criteria 1, let's agree, it has to plug in demand that already exists. No convincing a skeptical market. You want to be selling things buyers are shopping for. That's a pretty fundamental business thing. You don't want to be offering something which no one is asking for. Criteria number 2, it has to be one skill, not 5 departments, because the full service trap is what buried you the first time. So one specialist function you can actually get generally great at. You need to accept it right now that you are not going to be able to build a business where you're having to do all the different things from the get-go, especially in a space like this where they're already proven operators. If this was 6 years ago and there wasn't that many proven operators, then again, you can juggle lots of things, and as you scale and as you have the security with with the models because you're offering something that they need and that there isn't much of, you'd be able to charge more, have more security, and you'd be able to build out a team. Whereas you just can't do that as a beginner anymore. So you need to go ahead and specialize in the one skill, and it has to be the number one pain point of the customers that you wanted to go ahead and solve for them. Criteria number 3, the economics have to work with good customers. The deal structure itself should attract professionals and repel time wasters. Selection working for you, not against you. So when building an offer, we want to make sure we're building an offer that attracts the right type of person. And if we want to make money in this space, as we've already discussed, we need to be working with models who are treating this like a business and are being proper serious about scaling up their OnlyFans account. And we need to be working with those models. And in order to work with those models, we need to create an offer that is actually going to go ahead and they're going to respond to positively. Again, this should just be very basic, simple stuff. Criteria number 4, your security can't depend on contracts you no longer have the leverage to demand. It has to come from being generally hard to replace, and it has to come from more favorable deal terms for yourself. You cannot build a business on a contract where they go ahead and leave at any time. It's just not sustainable. Or it is, you could sustain it doing very low, being very stressful, and you're just constantly churning out clients, which isn't something that anyone wants to go ahead and be a part of. But instead, we can start using contracts in a favorable way that is structured to ensure that we get paid for the work that we do, and it's on a deal term that the models would agree with, as well as ourselves. And then criteria number 5, it should use the skills you already have from the agency game because you didn't spend the last years learning nothing. Again, skills compound. Before I had my first successful business, I tried a bunch of different things. I had to learn copywriting, I had to learn email marketing, and all these skills eventually compounded to the point where I was able to go ahead and build a successful business. And the same applies to you. You've spent the last year, you spent the last few months, you've been learning the OnlyFans agency game. So let's go ahead and not scratch all of that. Let's try and compound upon the skills you already have. So now, what if I told you there's a deal in this exact industry that checks every single box and almost nobody is running it? Well, introducing the traffic partnership. So the entire business model in one sentence is this. You grow a model's front end, her traffic, her new subscribers, and that is all you do. You don't touch her account, you don't touch her content, you don't go near her chatting or her fans, and you don't ask for half of her business. One job done well, and you get paid for that job. So very simple. You are running an OnlyFans traffic agency, and you go ahead and you partner with models, partnering with high value models, and getting contracts in place where you can go ahead, generate traffic for the page, and get paid a commission based on the traffic that you send over to them. And this model is called traffic partnership, and it's the deal that my agency actually runs. Now, watch what happens when we run this against the criteria that we laid out for the right successful vehicle, which I'm sure we can all agree that this is stuff that is going to help us have a good business. So existing demand. Think about what the serious model and the one who runs her business properly actually wants to outsource. Not her content, because her content is her product. She's not going to want to go ahead and outsource that. Not her chatting, because that's her customer relationships. And the proven model already has either an own internal person, like working with a friend who goes ahead and does the chatting on her account, and she has a proven internal team to go ahead, a proven system to actually go ahead and convert those subscribers. She's already a successful model. She likely already has this in place. And the one thing that she desperately wants off her plate, and she wants more of, regardless of what stage she's at, is traffic. And it's the hardest part, the most time consuming, and the most specialist. And the one thing she cannot do while making content. She is already shopping for this. She's already researching how to go ahead and get OnlyFans traffic. She's already researching what can I do to grow pages, what can I do to get more reach, what can I do to get more subscribers. And nobody is selling this. They're selling the full service suite with a bunch of add-ons the models that you're wanting to get don't need. Where instead you can just specialize. So in the management game, you are the 50th stool in a crowded market. In this game, you're the only stool. The same buyer's market that crushed you now works for you. Then we have the one skill. So that's the entire model. It's traffic, front-end growth. One craft you can go deep on instead of 5 departments that you end up drowning in. And with the specialization, we get exponentially better in terms of delivering our service compared to having to go ahead and deliver multiple different services under the full management suite. And in addition to this, we can actually go ahead and productize our service as well. So we can have it more repeatable, more structured, which allows us to have leaner, more efficient operations. So we can go ahead and build leverage around the highest value, highest leverage point with OnlyFans models, which is their number one pain point, which is getting traffic. We then have selection. So this is my favorite part because it flips the sorting machine. The management deal repels professionals and attracts flakes. The traffic deal is the exact offer a professional is looking for. One function, transparent terms that make sense, and then she keeps control of everything. So who says yes to this deal? It's the serious ones, the ones with a real business, the exact models everyone in this industry wishes they had. The same skills you already have, a completely different pond. And then security. So you don't need a 12-month contract anymore. And here's why. A model does not fire the person filling her funnel. Again, she's got nothing to lose from this deal. In terms of the deal, she's just going ahead and paying you commission based on the traffic you bring. So she's going to be making money from the work that you do, and she's just paying you a portion of the money that she goes ahead and makes from this. So in management, the retention came from lock-ins, and the market took lock-ins away. And in traffic, the retention comes from results. And you don't need a contract to keep a client who's growing. And even so, we can now structure contracts in a way that ensures we get paid for the fruits of the work that we do today for life. So we can structure a contract that, hey, if we go ahead and we send you a subscriber, and that subscriber spends over $200,000 within your account, within over a period of, for life, then we are entitled to a percentage of that earnings for life. Even if the model did go ahead and end the partnership, you'd still be entitled to that money, and you'd still get paid for the work that you are doing instead of going ahead and ending the partnership and then you go to zero. Okay, so we're actually going ahead and building a business that can compound. So every box is checked. Makes sense? We're working with the type of model that we need to work with in this industry to make money. We're building an offer that this model is generally going to want to have, which can be contrarian to the current OnlyFans management offer, which so many models are getting repelled by. And we have economics that work better for us, better deal terms, and using the skills that we're building and specializing in the skills as well. So now I know what the smart ones watching this are thinking. Okay, the logic works. But if it's such a good deal, why would a serious model trust me with it? I'm nobody to her. I can't just go ahead and pitch this to a model. And this is exactly the right question, and it's why this video exists. So I'm going to show you inside my own operation. So this is Allrist. This is my agency. We've been in this industry for over 6 years, and we run traffic partnerships every single day. We used to do a full management business, and then we started looking at the deals that we were signing with new models. We started looking at how we were structuring the business. We started seeing the market change, and then we adapted for a better offer. And we have seen insane levels of success with this adaptation. So what I walked you through isn't theory I built for a course. It's the description of my actual Tuesday inside my own agency. And this is Traffic OS. This is the software that my own team operates on, where we have content workflows, distribution, and tracking. Remember this because it comes back in a minute. So because we're specializing, we can go ahead and we can build specialist software which solves the particular problem and delivers the service in a way, in a professional, business-orientated way that no other full management agency could even dream of offering. Okay, because we're specializing in solving the number one pain point, we can productize and structure the service in a way which allows us to scale these model accounts. So remember this because we'll come back to this in a minute. And on the screen, I'm just going to go ahead and cut to what Lee, one of the consulting members who worked with me, trying to go ahead and start his own traffic partnership, had to say about the level of quality that we provided to him within our program and within assisting him build this traffic partnership business. So again, we pride ourselves on the systems that we build and the systems that solve a high pain point for a really profitable niche. And this is specifically what I want you to study. These are the models that are messaging us, asking about traffic partnerships. This is inbound for my agency. So as you can see, we had a model with 2.6 million followers. Again, a model who's making serious money on OnlyFans. Hey, can you go ahead and help us grow these 2 celebrity OnlyFans pages? We have another model here. Hey, I'd like some info about OF. I'd love to work with you. I can show you the content I've already created. Again, another model interested in our offer. Again, we have another model going ahead saying, hey, I've got an OnlyFans account. I'm trying to grow it. I'm interested in building this page. I'm looking to go ahead and create some steady income. And she's gone ahead and sent her pictures of herself. And as you can see here, thank you for messaging us. We'll be signing new models in a few months. This brings on to an important point later on that we just purely do not have the capacity to deal with all these creators which are interested in this offer. Again, another model interested in asking and inquiring about us helping her scale her OnlyFans account with our traffic services. Again, another page. Yes, I have an OF page, but I haven't had any luck with the managers. So she worked with managers before, it didn't work out, and she's gone ahead and has gone to us seeking a better deal for better terms, and she's seeking to go ahead and scale the account. Again, another model did 17K, looking to scale up further. Another model, hey, I'm living in Italy, looking to scale up my OnlyFans account. So I want you to go ahead and connect the dots. These are just a few of the DMs that we're receiving, because the whole value chain of this industry in one picture. Models have the accounts and the content, but they're starving for traffic. Whoever credibly solves traffic sits in the most valuable point in the entire chain, and the demand comes to him. So that's what 6 years of reputation buys. And that's the exact thing you, starting alone, cannot buy at any price. And it is trust. We've been operating our agency for 6 years, so we've had the reputation. And a lot of these are through word of mouth. A lot of these are through people going ahead and finding our case studies and testimonials online as well. So a serious model needs proof before she hands her funnel to anyone. And you don't have proof. It's a catch-22, right? You need a deal to get proof, and you need proof to get a deal. So this is why people are stuck in a sort of limbo, unless you could go ahead and borrow it. So here's my situation, and I'll be completely straight with you about why I'm making this video. My pipeline has more models wanting traffic partners than my team could serve in 10 lifetimes. It's seriously, the amount of models that are interested in this offer is through the roof, that we just can't go ahead and serve them all. And I have 2 options. Option 1, I can turn them away, or I can keep on saying, hey, I can't bring you on right now. We'll bring you on at a later date, purely because we're just scaling the models that we're working with vertically, and we're not going to want to work with, hundreds and hundreds of models and scale them horizontally, as that's not the sort of business that we're in this to build. But again, I turn them away, or I train people who I genuinely trust and plug them in. And that's the program. So let me show you what's in it. I'll tell you who it's not for, because that's the part that I mean as well. So the traffic partner installation. So part 1 is that we build the business with you. So in the first 30 days, we're going to go ahead, build you your brand, your website, your socials, your offer. So if you've already got your website, your socials set up, we'll go ahead and fix that for you as well. And then plus the complete training. So the platform playbooks, the SOPs, and I mean the actual operating documents of my agency's shelf, the ones that we are using to generate results for our models. And the same files my team opens every morning, the ones that I update when our operations update, not a course version, but the real ones. And then part 2 is the Traffic OS. So the software that you watch my team run on, you operate on the same stack, which means you never sit down on a Tuesday morning guessing what to do. The system cues it. So you'll be getting access to the exact software that we have built to run this niche business's infrastructure, and you'll get access to it as well. And in part 3, the pipeline. So this is the one that makes everything else make sense. When you finish the program, you certify, and I want to be precise about this word. Certification is earned, not included in my price. You have to prove that you can execute this to a standard that I've staked my agency's name on. And because again, I'm not going to go ahead and damage my own agency's reputation by handing over models to other agencies saying, hey, yeah, here's an agency to work with. And then the agency turns out to not go ahead and deliver good service. You need to actually go ahead and prove that you can run this system. And that's what's going to happen next. On certification, I introduce you to a vetted model in my pipeline, a model who came to us, and a model who treats this like a business, because we vet her the same way we certify you. So again, we're making sure that we're not sending a bad model your way, and we're also making sure that we're not sending a bad agency the model's way either. So read that back. Your first deal comes from my reputation, not your cold DMs. And the catch-22 is that stops everyone else in this industry deleted. So we'll help you go ahead and get your first deal. We'll also go ahead and give you the infrastructure that we use in order to also generate this interest for the offer as well. So you'll be getting both. So again, you'll be getting a deal handed to you. So you'll be getting that proof that you can generate a good result, and you'll be getting that case study from that first model you're working with. And then you'll also be able to scale your operation from there. And on the money, so there's zero ambiguity. I take nothing from your deals, okay? I'm not like some sort of middleman in terms of handing over a deal and charging a percentage for that deal. No, it's a separate relationship between you and the model. I take no percentage, no facilitation fee. The partnerships are yours. What I do get from this is obviously help you build a successful business. So I'll be looking for a testimonial from yourself. And I'll also be charging you access to this program as well. So that's what I get from this business. Obviously, I'm not doing this for free, but I'm not taking a percentage of the deals. I have an influx of models that I just can't handle, and I don't want to scale my business in a way that handles it. I want to keep it a lean, efficient, high-value traffic partnerships models, and scale the models we're working with vertically rather than horizontally with lots of other models. And I can go ahead and send those deals your way. Okay. So again, it's to protect models from bad agencies and protect you from bad models. And I intend to keep it that way, which is why the next section exists. So who this is not for, and I need you to hear this because I mean this, okay? Because every introduction carries my agency's name. If you're on a get-rich-quick timeline, don't apply, because this is a real business with a real craft at the center. The system deletes the guesswork and does not delete the work. Yes, this is a profitable business. Yes, you can make lots of money with this business. Yes, you don't need that much skill set to go ahead and get started, and we will be handing the business over to you. But also, this is not a get-rich-quick timeline. This is a stable business that you're going to be going ahead and building over the next years, and it's going to be going ahead and making serious money from this business, okay? But if you're in it to make money really, really quick, this isn't for you. And if your plan is to take the training and quietly go back to pitching management deals, it's the wrong lane, wrong program, and the certification can be revoked as well. So places are capped at 10 per cohort, so we can only take in 10 people every single few months. This is purely because it is when we're working with these models, we only have so many models we can go ahead and send to the agencies, and we're wanting to train these agencies up to make sure that you're also going ahead and delivering. Now, something important to mention is that places are capped at 10 per cohort. So if you click on this link and you don't see any availability on my calendar, then chances are it means that we are full for this particular cohort of people that we can bring on for this offer. And that is not a marketing countdown. The cap is set by real model supply, because I will not stretch introductions past what the pipeline can actually go ahead and deliver. So 10 places, then the cohort closes, and we open it back up again when we've got more models in the pipeline. So in summary, most people trying to make money in the OnlyFans space do it by starting a full service agency. The problem with that is that you're signing up to run chatting teams, manage models 24/7, and hold the entire backend together. And because every agency does the same thing, models treat you as interchangeable. So churn is constant, and when a model leaves, your whole income leaves with her. Which means even the guys hitting $20,000 months are working 80-hour weeks in someone else's business, and they are one DM away from losing everything. And the new wave of guys jumping into AI models are walking into the same trap with extra steps. They didn't remove the model, they inherited her job. And also, you'll not be able to go ahead and create free content. You've also got to pay money to create the content as well. So it's the worst job at that. And a more difficult version of the job. And now everyone can generate a page, but nobody can get traffic to one. So instead, we install you as a traffic partner. You own the one thing, the front-end audience growth, and you use the traffic OS to source and qualify model partnerships. And we install the traffic playbook that grows the pages, and you can get paid on the growth that you control. No chatting, no management, no babysitting, which means you can run multiple partnerships at once, and your income isn't hostage to any single model, and you're building a portfolio instead of a job. So let's land this. You came into this video believing you'd failed at OFM, and you know what actually happened to you now. You were running a vehicle that's broken on every axis, and then hopefully when I've explained it to you, it makes sense and you're actually starting to understand why that vehicle wasn't the best vehicle to make money within this space. It's too saturated to win, too poorly paid to matter, and structurally rigged to hand you the exact model who flake with no contract security holding any of it together. So change the offer and change who says yes. So if you want to run the offer serious models are actually shopping for on my agency systems with my software, and your first deal coming from my pipeline instead of your cold DMs, apply below. Just click the button and book in a call. It's an application, not a checkout, and I'll read them personally, and I'll generally rather turn away the wrong person than let the wrong person go ahead and join and work with a model who I've staked my agency's reputation on. So either way, you can't unsee the sorting machine. You're welcome. I've either saved you from trying to go ahead and build a business that is fundamentally broken. I've shown you the business that is actually working in 2026 going on to 2027. And it's up to you now to capitalize on the timing of this and get started and pivot your offer, pivot your business, and start making some real money with this.